Is he the king of the other dogs? Not with a name like Rex.
Worried about.
Sure.
So.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I took him to the vet, and that one crazy dog.
Wow, really? Nice human food over there.
Give him dog food. You'll eat it. Yeah, and so he said, and he's thinking about hanging now.
Oh, good.
Right, and they do it.
I'm glad that he adjusted, because I can see that being hard for the dogs too, like, I mean,
Of course, like, let us know.
They're favorite.
They said it was also $3,000. Well, at least we're dog will go to that.
Yeah.
That.
It's right at home.
Up there.
well, that's nice that he's fitting in well.
The guy who bought it, never put his name. He just signs. Not to let that girl go out and take her. And she didn't. And so he wanted to take her to the party.
Right.
And he said, well, we want to go sell in this guy. So I wrote it down, so a copy of everything. They wanted to put a sales meeting.
Still alive?
Right, and I mean, they're not running the dog for a reason, at least it doesn't just disappear.
Well, and the thing is that I told her about that and so this is what happened.
Mm-hmm.
So,
But what you do is, thank you. Thank you.
I did sign on it, filled it all out for us.
Yeah, that's tough.
Well, changing subject a little bit, let's say Stacy is here, we want to clarify that our schedules are clear for this
And then
next
she
week,
decided to
because
sell it.
that's Christmas week.
Oh,
We're planning to
So
play
she never got
gatherings
around
at
to
like
doing
this
it.
kind of,
So it was like,
we play our Christmas music during the gathering time next Sunday, just then. And then I did talk to Mr. Allen, and he wants us to play,
And I just want to be very, 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 very,
that
very,
one
very,
song
very,
here
very.
at the end. The Hallelujah
One
chorus.
of those things.
And as far as the cleaning, well, the lighting of the
So
candles,
this
so
is,
that'd be fine too.
it
It
fits.
depends on whether we can sync
I
with what you're playing
things
with
that
the
far.
candle lighting.
very good.
Yeah.
Well, I think he will be doing
Keep
Silent
taking my
Night during
hands
the
in,
candle
taking
lighting.
them out, taking them in.
But I don't know for sure 100%.
Where is everybody? Oh, it's only 22.
It's like.
Okay, well, we gotta start there then.
So, let's say that there is Silent Night playing during candle lighting. Would you like to do that, us three? You do the piano, and we do two violin? Okay. I would think, do we have it in one of our handbooks?
You probably got the original.
Yeah.
It's in different, it's in different keys depending on what shirt.
Stieligen nach, ist das so eine Stielen
I'm
nach,
going for the little.
der Heiligen nach,
Yes.
Heiligen nach, Heiligen nach, Stiel,
Okay.
it's the science of this.
I wouldn't mind seeing or seeing
Yes,
major,
so that's what I can remember.
but yeah.
So how do you recognize somebody as?
So to recognize it is very, very small.
But I, two German, two words in German for silent night, but I remember.
Well, you did better than I was.
Because that's the major and then
Major, yeah, yeah.
The candle and the blue was the cha-cha.
Oh.
Or
I can see if I can find a copy of it and see
And then I really got into playing it really slow. Yeah. One time he said, I'm not
Downstairs we have coffee and snacks afterwards, and there are restrooms there too.
You guys didn't have
Where were you raised?
Yeah, my dad was on the board and how old he had her very involved and stuff.
Okay, well, you get some tea time after you.
Oh, then he does two separately in two different keys.
In the right hand.
You ever key the other side?
And you do it.
Okay, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go run and make a copy of this.
Well, look, I got a copy. I've got a copy.
No, but for us, the lay flat. This didn't even want to lay open. You know, so for us, we can practice and get used to the flat.
Would you make a plug for the class?
I will. That's why I'm here early.
Okay,
But the congregation will like to use this.
I appreciate you doing this.
Yeah, they don't.
It used to be that,
I don't know, I'm thinking of the time factor. If it's all
and this is
apples
why I
or pears,
keep
we
track
can
Yeah.
keep track of newer people.
Right.
And my wife, when she was the
I'm not
president,
worried about
she
that.
knew every member.
Two flats.
And that was important to us.
It's easier now than it was.
Well, we'll just do a.
But our numbers have shrunk also, that's what I'm thinking,
Oh,
Agree on that.
unfortunately.
no, it's still about the same amount of people that show.
Yeah.
Because he wanted me to play marching band.
Remind me, did Bailey Abbott go through the class?
Yes,
That's what I thought.
yep, and so did Thompson, Wakefield.
Right. Okay.
So when it works out for you, they're willing to sign the book.
Yeah, I think we should do that for sure in January, if not before.
Okay.
Small schools.
it- Do it next Sunday or just whenever they're in town.
I won't be here next Sunday, but trying to get that through on, have you had any RSVPs for this?
Negative.
No.
But we'll see.
Let's see what happens. I met some nice people yesterday. One couple lives
Good morning, can I help you?
down by the.
Oh, I'm just waiting for the restroom.
Oh,
Yep.
South end.
I can't help you with
Yeah,
that.
no, I know, that's okay. I don't expect you to.
Oh, I got a phone call from Royal
Oh,
the other day.
yeah.
What's going on? Are you guys talking about that again? So he just had a couple of questions and I
Yeah.
helped him a little bit.
I was thinking about you too.
Yeah, that was
We
kind
have
of a,
appointed a committee and
it was laying on top and stretched out and everything.
we could add, I should talk to more people, but we could possibly add one more. We don't want it
Oh,
to be too
well, maybe, I know, right after the water.
And I think it's important that it's
It was
a
right next to the heater.
open-minded committee.
big. Yeah, right.
You know, I'm pretty
Well, they recovered nicely.
set in my way there.
Morning. Hello.
Yeah, Royal, I think, told me that you were always in favor of
Morning, dear.
retaining them. Tell me
One survived it.
who else feels strongly about that besides yourself.
How's the old timers?
No, I don't want to. It's like, oh, okay.
Mhm.
Oh, I need someone to like it.
But
We're both.
I'll-
Would you?
My wife had a very
Oh,
interesting
okay, all right.
argument, and I'm sure it'll come up again. We have a member in the
It's a
church
new, yeah,
that had a milk house right next door to her.
bad shape.
And eventually those people
Yeah,
that
that
rushed
old
the
one.
house, you know, detox, cleaned up and everything. By owning that, we control.
And I
We
did
don't
like it.
ever have to fear someone against the
Yes.
house.
It is.
Someone
And I actually ended up holding it side.
on that house, you know,
I don't know, I think we all
we
have.
control it. Our property manager, they do the background check. You know, we never have to worry.
Could've given you a ride.
that point, we should have bought this house too.
Well, yeah,
I'm only, I'm tongue in cheek, but, I mean, yeah, that is a very interesting idea. And that, yeah, that deserves to be taken into consideration.
well, especially with the pendulum swinging to the right. And, you know, everything that we proclaim that we stand for under attack. Didn't need to protect our turf.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, thank you. I'm really glad you shared that.
You can thank my wife for that.
Okay. Yeah. Just for your information. So, yeah. And Joe Green, Paul Thompson. I think it was a good one. Anyway, that's what we've got so far.
And one of the things is, there's a self-propelled
Mark that.
bush. In other words, if you're trying to use it to clear a lot. Self-propelled is not bad. There's one thing.
That's hard work.
That's hard work. That was, we were a lot younger back then. So anyway, find your people something first before you go and trying to survive.
Sounds good.
Because I'm sure you've got to pick up.
Yes,
All
yeah.
right.
And, my husband recently bought a four-wheeler plow.
That's like the concept of pioneers.
Well,
Very interesting. Thank you. I
for that
did not know
too.
that.
That puts a plow on.
Yeah, so the same thing as
Yeah.
a.
I would just say,
Oh, yeah. You're like, mounted up.
Friday at 10 o'clock. So 3 days to this.
Right.
It just pushes.
not we today, JC and I are doing this
So
right
we had a
for you,
program.
Denver Music Festival. So, but as far as the
15 minutes.
program
So,
today,
yeah, lifted it.
and every time I go to the
Is that the cars?
I feel so good when you're driving by. You're the only person I know that's got a motor truck.
My understanding is that
He's got his shoulder, he's got his car.
so excited about He's just thrilled by this thing. He's
But see, I need that now.
she's learned to understand, and I said,
Yes,
I
exactly.
thought I was here.
And you know, he talked about how all
And we just talked
Yes.
about Carol, we're ready to go.
all right, and summer started, and it's like,
Well, because you can't keep stuff outside. And as it says, he just put a new on the,
And then we'll do the
oh, sure.
electric.
kids are over at now, it sounds like.
It's just on the cities and, you know, it's
So back, I just caught out.
Very busy for about a month.
There's a place to hang out with your mom's recipe.
We'll see how it goes. I got that residue from my friend Hanson's.
Yes, yep.
So I made, I did something out of the Mennonite.
She's pretty timid actually so far. She would leave, she's too close to the house. I'm wondering if it's so close to get my dog. Yeah, if you're not out there with her, she's just like, nah, what's up with it?
Brittany must have started to shop and she was on her next hours. And she couldn't go, I guess. I know. Yeah. Nice.
No, she doesn't. She's thinking about you, so she never.
My lifetime.
I don't do evening
Yes, I'm going to be practicing violin here tomorrow night, so
Good morning, Nelson.
The fan club is here.
Good morning, and Carol, thank you for the beautiful gathering. My name is Sue Ann Lang, and I will be your worship coordinator for this morning. And we are delighted you're here on this kind of foggy, maybe a little icy, tricky morning. Kind of have to watch where you step, I think. And maybe corners and stoplights. Anyway, we're glad you've chosen to join us this morning. We have been here for a long, long time. We've been staying true to our principles that everyone is welcomed, no matter where you are in your life, no matter what your beliefs are, no matter who you love or who loves you. You are welcome here. This is a welcoming community. Little thank yous here first to the people who are so committed to making sure that we have a little treats when we have our coffee. Thank you to the people who came yesterday and made sure that our building is ready for us to be in this morning. Thank you for our guest speaker. And there is a story there. She just taught an adult ed class about 2 miles away, 3 miles away, straight up Cliff Avenue. And didn't finish until 9:45. And here she is already. I said, don't worry, you don't have to be here until 10:30, we got this.
I didn't want to miss anything.
Oh, all right. So, Reverend Jean Morrow, we are delighted you are here with us today. We have special music today, including the children who are going to be doing some bell ringing for us. As the offering is being taken. So that will be a treat. Plus, we have some other special music going on. So be ready to have your senses expanded by the music of the seasons and those who are brave enough to come and share with us their gifts and their talents. I do have a couple announcements. The Almost Main play is going to be put on again here tonight at 7 p.m. Be sure and read your insert because there's a very nice statement in there about someone who already has seen it. So if you desire, please take advantage of that. Then also, this is from Rose Bazemore. I knew her as Rose Paz, but she's changed her name. And here's what she wanted to say to us. Much gratitude for the warm welcome Leslie and Rose received on their recent morning spent together. We are overwhelmed with the hard work and generosity shown. We pray blessings on each and every one of you. And, oh, my Lakota is so bad. Aho Pila Mayaye. So hopefully there are no Lakota speakers here, because I think I just did it. And then Eric has a brief announcement about an upcoming opportunity for you.
Okay, this afternoon, right following the service, as soon as we're done here, people who are interested in learning more about the history of Unitarian Universalism or have interest in this church or what it takes to be a member in this church will be meeting in the back corner room in the library immediately following the service. It's informative. You won't be asked to do or commit to anything. It's your chance to learn about us and our history. And it'll also happen again on Wednesday evening at 7 o'clock if you can't make it today. Thank you.
Thank you, Eric. That's all the announcements I have at this time. So I would invite Reverend Allen up. He's going to play our prelude for us today.
This piece is often known as the Ukrainian bell carol. So I would ask that afterwards, no applause, let's have a moment of silence for the people of Ukraine.
thank you. That was perfect. At this last time, I would invite Janet up to help me with the chalice lighting. And you may follow along with the words I'm going to say in the insert. May this flame, symbol of transformation since time began, fire our curiosity, strengthen our wills, and sustain our courage as we seek what is good within and around us. Thank you. Our first song is number 298, Wake Now My Senses. Please stand as you are willing or able.
Wake now my senses, and hear the earth fall. Feel the deep power of being in awe. Keep with the web of creation your vow. Giving, receiving, as love shows us how. Wake now my reason, reach out to the blue. Join with each pilgrim who quests for the true. Honor the beauty and wisdom of time. Suffer thy limit and praise the sublime. Bring out a passion, give heed to the cry. Voices of suffering fill the wide sky. Take as your neighbor, both stranger and friend. Praying and striving their hardship to end.
Our first reading this morning is on the insert, and we'll all read it together. So I'll let you get things put down, your insert found. Always takes me a minute. Okay. This is from Liminality by Carrie Newcomer. So much of what we know lives just below the surface. Half of the truth spreads out beneath our feet, living simultaneously in two worlds, each half informing and nurturing the whole. A tree is either at a near or nature, but mostly both. Thank you. I have a story for the young people now. If you would like to come up and sit, it has great pictures. Hi. Loved your cowboy. Hi. All right, has anybody seen this book before? Yes, Where the Wild Things Are. One of my favorites. We used to have this in our library, because I have 4 girls, and we read it and read it and read it. And all of a sudden, it has disappeared. So I called around to see where it might be. Oh, we don't have it, Mom. We don't have it. Must be at home. Uh-huh. Somebody's got it. This is Where the Wild Things Are by Maurice Sendak. The night Max wore his wolf suit and made mischief of one kind or another. That's quite a big nail he's putting in that wall. I know what my mother would have said. And another. Any of you have a dog? What would happen if you did that to your dog? Or you could get hurt or he could get hurt. His mother called him Wild Thing, and Max said, I'll eat you up. So he was sent to bed without eating anything. That very night in Max's room, a forest grew and grew and grew and grew until his ceiling was covered with vines and the walls became the world all around. And an ocean tumbled by with a private boat for Max. And he sailed off through the night and through the day, and in and out of the weeks, and almost over a year, to where the wild things are. Oh, there's even a sea dragon. I missed that one. See the sea dragon? And when he came to the place where the wild things are, they roared their terrible roars and gnashed their terrible teeth and rolled their terrible eyes and showed their terrible claws. I might have been scared. Would you have been scared? No? Okay. Till Max said, be still, and tamed them with a magic trick of staring into all their yellow eyes without blinking. And they were frightened and called him the most wild thing of all and made him king of all the wild things. And now, cried Max, let the wild rumpus begin. You know what a rumpus is? What do you think? Any ideas? What's your idea? What do you think a rumpus is? A party. Suppose a rumpus could be a party? A what? An animal? Oh, well, that would certainly cause a rumpus, wouldn't it? If I did it at my house. So there they are, having a party. I don't see any hammers, but Max had used one earlier, hadn't he? Oh my goodness. Swinging from the trees. Suppose he ever tried that at his house? And there they are, they're having a parade. Do you suppose this is what Max expected? No, I don't know. You think maybe it is? Okay, he has a good imagination, doesn't he? Now stop, Max said. And he sent all the wild things off to bed without their supper. And Max, the king of all wild things, was lonely and wanted to be where someone loved him best of all. He looks kind of lonely, doesn't he? Then all around from far away across the world, he smelled something good to eat. So he gave up being king of where the wild things are. But the wild things cried, oh, don't go. Please don't go. We'll eat you up. We'll love you. And Max said, no. The wild things roared their terrible roars and gnashed their terrible teeth and rolled their terrible eyes and showed their terrible claws. But Max stepped into his private boat and sailed off. He waited waved goodbye and sailed back over a year and in and out of weeks and through a day and through a night and into his very own room, where he found his supper waiting. It was still hot. What do you think? Did Max know where he was going? No, probably not. How did he get there? How did Max get there? What was it that took? Oh, yeah. What took him there, you know? His imagination, yeah. Our imaginations can help us do a lot of things. Have you ever been really angry at someone and so you went in and slammed the door to get away from them? And yeah. And while you were there, what did your imagination have you do? What did you do with your imagination? Did you think of anything? Yeah, you get even with them. What did you do? What does your imagination want you to you're thinking about doing? Punch them? Sometimes it is. My girls used to do kind of ornery things, like change what was in the salt shaker. Kind of, you know, or things that they knew, or move their favorite toy. Because one of my daughters didn't want anybody touching her stuff. So the best way to get back at her was to move it. That's how they got even. Or cut off a doll's hair.
So we have no.
My daughters were very creative. I think of things too that you do when you're like, he was mad at his mother, wasn't he? Yeah. But then he wanted to get back because he knew she loved him the best. And his supper was there waiting for him. Okay. I know you've got things planned, but if you want to take this with you downstairs, and I don't know if you're probably not going down quite yet, or I'll take it back. Be nice. Be nice. All right, let's sing them out to wherever they're going. I don't know how they're doing. I know they're coming back to play bells for us a little bit later. Cool. All right, thanks, guys.
Go now in peace, go now in peace. May the spirit of love surround you everywhere, everywhere you may go.
Didn't mean to start a conflict there. But then again, it's always good to see a bunch of children here. This part of our service is a tradition we have had a very long time, and we call it Joys and Concerns. And it's an opportunity for anyone to come up and to share something delightful that happened this week to them maybe. Or maybe there's a concern they have, whether it's a family member or someone they know that is on their mind and is weighing a little bit. So I'm going to take the first one. This is for the family whose father and husband was murdered on the streets of New York, strictly because who he represents. He was a young man, probably in his mid-40s, maybe early 50s, and it looks like the young man that shot him was having some real issues with his thought process, so. Thoughts go out to both, because one has a huge loss and the other one, I think, has lost a lot also, so.
Thank you. Well, you said something fun that happened, and this last Saturday, I guess, that would be yesterday, Amy and JC and I went over to a nursing home to provide a duet concert, violin duet thing. We walked into this big dining room area, we looked around, it was totally empty. It was like nobody. And so we set up there with our violins. We thought, well, maybe if we start playing, who knows? So we got out our music and our stands, and so we started playing music, and somebody came out of their room, and oh, and so this person came, a couple other ladies started going on doors. Eventually, by the time we were about half through our concert, the room was nearly filled with people, and afterwards they were so apologetic, and they said, oh, you guys are so fun, and I just wish we had known ahead of time they're going to get after their activities director. I won't mention the name of the place, but they will. Anyway, that was something fun and positive that happened, so it's just fun to share.
I'm Fred, and I got two things. One is very happy and one's a little bit sad. Yesterday I had the pleasure of seeing a play at, I think it's Jefferson High School. My grandson Finn Garber played a pig and a judge in a little story about a spider and a pig. Anyway, Charles Whip. That's it. I couldn't remember. And I couldn't remember how the thing ended. I knew that the pig got to live and the spiders died. But anyway, so here's the sad one. When I lived in Mexico, I often went to see a rock and roll player, Javier Batiz. And I'm sure the name doesn't mean diddly squat to any of you guys here, but Javier Batiz was considered the father of Mexican rock and roll. He was a teacher of Carlos Santana, who's I'm sure many of you have heard of. He also influenced a whole generation of Mexican rockers, Grupo Maná, Ma Vecindad, and others. He also influenced a rock group called, Going Up the Country, some of you know. Oh, Canned Heat, oh, that's it.
Country Joe and the Fish.
That's it.
It took 14 years and roughly 500,000 deaths, but the Syrian people are now free. And what was known as the Arab Spring has come to Syria, and we, I think, can all be happy about that. Not about the losses and the deaths, but happy that the freedom is there.
I'm Lee and happy. I'm grateful to hear that my brother-in-law is doing quite well. He's back at home and doing quite well and doing rehab whenever he goes into town to get that done. And I'm also grateful that I've gotten a new phone the other day, and it looks really nice. It's no longer cracked, so that's good. And today I managed to accidentally, it got stuck in the toilet. So I'm grateful to know that it's waterproof, so that's good. Last time I did something like that was back in the days before I met Jenny, and when I was living at a different apartment building. And That was the very last time I did that, so it was a long time ago.
I'm Christy. I just had a couple of concerns. Well, I'm the oldest, I'm blessed to be the oldest of several kids. And my concerns are with my sister Misty, who is at home today recovering from pneumonia. She's been in the hospital for a couple of days, so we're glad they finally figured out what was wrong with her. And then my brother Michael, who is going through some personal things. He lives in Georgia. And so I just wanted to send some thoughts and prayers up to him. Thank you.
Morning, my name is Marcia, and I had minor surgery Thursday afternoon, and I am so thankful to have good health care. So many people struggle with that.
This last stone is for all the joys and concerns that each of us hold within us. By being here in this family, hopefully, if they're burdens, they will be lifted a little bit, and if they're joys, may they spread out amongst those who are needing a bit of joy in this time. Let's take a moment of reflection to consider both the spoken and the unspoken. I invite you to come back. This is a familiar song that we've sung many times, Spirit of Life. We will do it twice, Carol. I'd invite you to stand as you wish. Our second reading is on the insert. This is from Carrie Newcomer. We'll just read it together. Although the full moon calls the currents, and the dark moon reminds me that my best language has always emerged out of the silence, it is in the waxing and the waning where I most often live. Neither here nor there, but simply on the way. There are endings and beginnings, one emerging out of the other. Most days I travel in an ever-present and curious now. At this time, it is my pleasure to introduce our guest speaker, Reverend Jean Morrow.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you again for the invitation to be with you. I look around and see old friends. This is just a very joy for me. But what often happens is I paint myself into a corner. But I relied on the grace of the good people of Spirit of Peace and the good people of All Souls to let me leave early, come late. So glad to be here. But let's get to it, right? So there is a great word to describe in-between times. It's used often in anthropology. It's a reference to both space and time, and the word is liminal. Swallow. It's an odd word, liminal. If you've ever taken linguistics, it uses a lot of stuff going on here. Liminality. Can't say it fast. But it describes that in-between time or in between space, and that's what we're going to engage today. One of my favorite stories that illustrates liminal time and space is a true one from my own family. One summer, when my daughter Lizzie was maybe 9 or 10, I'm guessing, members of my extended family were organized in several boats on West Okoboji, and we were waiting for the 4th of July fireworks. And two of the boats were fairly close, and we were talking back and forth, chattering away, having a good time, and then one of Lizzie's older cousins beckoned her to come from the boat we were in to their boat, and so she looked at me, and I gave her that parental nod, like, yes, of course, that would be great fun. And so I remember just holding her hand as she stepped on the edge of our boat, and then you know how you kick your leg out to the other boat. Well, in that action, it moved the other boat away, and my darling 10-year-old was kind of doing the splits. She was neither in my boat, nor her cousin's boat, nor in the water. She was in between. She was in liminal space. And I know, I can read my daughter's mind. She had no idea how that was going to turn out. So liminal space is a term that we do here in some disciplines, anthropology, psychology, theology. It's that time between realities, like wherever the little boy went from his home through the forest. For me, it's the forest before he gets to where the wild things are. The art on the front of your bulletins today offers two common images of liminality. I'm sorry there's no artist because I couldn't find the artist's name. But it shows both a door, a threshold, which often we think of as having a reality on one side and a different reality on the other. And then a hallway. Some people call liminal spaces the hallways of life. We all go through them, some lasting a short time and others over a period of years. The key to liminality is that something that has been true is no longer true, but what will be true is not yet known. Inherently, liminality includes loss, even when the change is one that we've chosen and that we anticipate will be good. Finding yourself in between can be scary, lonely, confusing. It can be exciting, creative, hopeful, pregnant with possibility, pregnant with dread. Regardless of your reactions or feelings, liminality is a very, very human thing. Each of us right now is living in some kind of liminal space. Most obviously, we share in the experience of moving from normal time, for lack of a better word, into holiday time. Doesn't matter if you're a person of faith or not. We all exist in this strange time of consumerism and consumption, parties and family gatherings. You may have taken a child or a grandchild to college this fall. They may be coming home for the first time, or you may be seeing them for the first time. Both of you have changed since the fall, but you don't know how things have changed until you spend time together. Some of you have started a new job. Some of you may have lost a job, or you're leaving one, or you're retiring. There are just so many ways we live in between. So let's name the elephant in the room. You may be wondering what is happening in our world and in our nation. What is going to happen in the days and months to come as we in the United States have a major administration change in our government. It is truly quite dramatic. We've had a glimpse of it one time before in 2016. But something's coming. And I am basing that on what was promised and what is currently unfolding. I am not in a position to read your minds, though that would be highly entertaining for me. But I'm going to guess that some of you are pleased and excited with the shift, and others may be angry and fearful. Some may feel lost, some may feel found. Regardless, we are all sitting in this space of the unknown. We no longer in the before, and the after hasn't arrived. We're in between. A contemporary spiritual teacher, Terry Patton, describes it this way: we are disoriented. That's how it is when you're in transition, in the liminal space on both sides of the threshold. We've been taken out of our previous lives, and now we're in kind of limbo. We understand now that things will never be the same. We've all been plunged into a global rite of passage. Something is dying, yet something is being born. Times like these, the in-between times, are inherently uncomfortable, ambiguous, and uncertain. For most of us, our instinctual reaction to discomfort is to run and find safety, to do something to relieve the stress. It's a normal human behavior to move ourselves from discomfort to comfort. It is also a normal human behavior to look to something, someone, or anything outside of ourselves to tell us what to do to relieve the pain. I know that I am someone who is consciously aware of liminal spaces when I'm in one, or many. My super awareness probably originated during a major family event that took place when I was in the first grade. I grew up on a farm in northwest Iowa, just 3 miles from my hometown of 1,000, and just 10, 12 miles from the Okoboji's that I mentioned earlier. My dad was in a severe auto accident involving an icy road, a head-on collision, and a bridge. He was taken to a small hospital and then almost immediately transferred here to then Sioux Valley Hospital. This is about 80, 90 miles from my farm. I was the youngest of 5. And I can't speak for everyone's experience, but I was thrown into a space of not knowing what was coming next for what I felt like at the time was an eternity. It was certainly days, more likely weeks. But for me, it felt like forever. My dad's life hung in the balance, and my mom was by his side in Sioux Falls. I never knew who would be taking care of us, who would get us to school, or who would be there when we got off the bus. Who would answer my questions, and I had lots of them. Neighbors and friends and family jumped in to help, but a first grader has no idea what is going on. My father survived, but he was never the same. His body was shattered and his recovery was long. And frankly, our family life was never the same. We did achieve a new normal, but it wasn't like before. The feeling of that time has returned to me several times over my lifetime. And as I've matured, I came to call these liminal space-times itchy. For me, itchy means not quite feeling right in my body. The itch isn't painful, but it's ever present, and I don't feel quite like myself. I'm not in literal pain. Usually it originates from an emotional or spiritual space for me. But whatever you want to call it, I always want it to go away. If you've ever had chiggers, I'm talking about that kind of thing. You want it to go away. And I got a second big dose of this itchy liminality when my husband was diagnosed with terminal cancer. Only this time I was the wife by his side, I was also a mother, and I was also a pastor. He lived 8 months from diagnosis to death, with only about 5 of them being good. During that time, I was everywhere and nowhere, and I was extremely itchy. And here I am again, living in an itchy time, different than the two I've described, but itchy nonetheless. And as I thought about what I might offer today to all of you, I realized that I have learned a few ways to face and live with and live through the discomfort when life in liminality is upon me again. In an effort to help those of you who are feeling uncomfortable at this time, with whatever words you might use to describe it, these are words I've heard: crabby, grumpy, afraid, terrified, nauseous, sad, despairing, curious, mystified, confused, just a few. Well, I'd like to offer a few strategies I've adopted through the years. And then I look forward to our conversation after worship, because you can share with me some of the strategies you have adopted through the years, and we can all learn from each other. I do look forward to that. For those of you that are excited and can't wait for the new administration, you know that there are those around you who are uncomfortable, and so it's to those people to whom I speak predominantly. Okay, friends, the first thing I do is remind myself to live consciously in the present, which does require a lot of me, not to react and begin to create a future that isn't even here yet. I'm not talking about reasonably planning into the future. I'm talking about getting all ramped up, and I can get as ramped up as the next person. Crabby, preoccupied, defensive, self-righteous. Those are my words. You have yours. Those are mine. When I recognize that this is happening, I literally say, "Stop it," in my head. Stop it. This requires recognizing that I'm getting way ahead of myself, and I've lost my presence of mind. It requires engaging the emotional and spiritual centering skills I've developed over time. Skills that I didn't learn in the classroom, I didn't get it in training at work, and that may be true for some of you. I'm not talking about knowledge or intellect. I'm talking about the ways you ground yourself from the inside out. For some, it's taking time to meditate or pray. Others engage in breathing exercises. Or maybe taking yourself into nature to breathe the air outside and feel the earth under your boots, because that's just how it is right now. Or surrounding yourself with beauty. Almost all the art in my home is original and very carefully chosen. And there's a few of them that when I feel kind of ramped up, I can just take time to sink into them, and it helps me find my center. But my primary way of centering is music. In particular, I like to listen to the recording of Keith Jarrett's Cone concert, the live version. Who knows the Cone concert? Gotta be the live version. I need those people. I need to hear them. Can't really explain it, but it just works. It brings me back to me. And then I usually go and play my own piano very, very loudly. That works some too. So recently I read in Nautilus. I don't know if anybody read Nautilus? Nautilus is science and okay. About how music relieves depression. So this is just one thing in particular, depression. People often encourage the one depressed to listen to happy music, and I know I have been guilty of that. Well, if you just listen to some happy. But the neuroscientist in this article said that may be the wrong advice. And was quoted as saying, if you listen to happy music, that's just another bunch of people who misunderstand how you feel. You got no use for them. But put on the right sad music, and you feel understood, heard, and validated. Your emotions are validated. It's not somebody coming in and saying, hey, get up off the couch and straighten up and fly right. You have a lot to live for. That's not somebody who gets you. But when you hear a musician or band that's feeling what you're feeling, I think we find that uplifting and validating, and you realize this person's been through what I've been through, and they've come out the other side, and they turn it into something beautiful. On the chemical side, when you're feeling in tune with the music, the hormone prolactin is released in your body. And that is the same hormone that's released when a mother is nursing an infant. So maybe that's why Keith Jarrett's Home concert soothes me. It's always melodic and harmonic, but there are parts of it that are frenetic and chaotic. But the whole thing resolves beautifully. And that gets me back to center. Helps me get back to center. I may have shared this before, but I tend to live by mantras or little code phrases. Not sure where that came from, but many of you do too, I've heard. So the code phrase for which I just shared is stop it, Gene. Or calm down, Gene, in my head. And I do say my own name, because sometimes it's hard to get my attention. So I have to say, stop it, Gene. But I have a couple more phrases that I want to share with you about how to calm yourself or center yourself during great time or itchy time. The next one is whisper words of wisdom, let it be. I know many people use the phrase let it be, and they have it tattooed on them and all kinds of things, but I need the whole darn Beatles experience. I need whisper words of wisdom, let it be. This is very closely to stop it. It's kind of like the next step. There is such strength in engaging the power of letting things be, and to give ourselves space and time to open ourselves to the creative potential and energy at work in creation, in humanity, in us. Opening ourselves to the fact that we don't have all the answers to all things. And darn it, we may need to rely on the wisdom of others. Letting things be Letting things be is the wisdom we have when we know there is nothing we can fix in the moment. We can't slow time down. We can't make it go faster. We have to let it be. My mother uses Serenity Prayer as one of her mantras. She had it framed in our dining room, and it was on many bookmarks tucked into various books. I don't know if she ran into a Serenity Prayer sale or something, I'm not sure. But it seemed to be everywhere in my grown-up home. God grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and wisdom to know the difference. Those are the words of wisdom, let it be. In his book Transitions, William Bridges writes of his wife's premature death in her mid-50s. Bridges recalls one night when his wife was in a lot of pain and things were particularly bad. He was sitting beside the bed, watching her struggle to breathe, when she said to him, "This positive thinking stuff is crap." And then so is negative thinking. They both cover up reality, which is that we just don't know what's going to happen. That's the reality we have to live with. And then Bridges goes on to say, it is easy to see why people take refuge in optimism or pessimism. They both give you an answer. But the truth is that we just don't know. And what a hard truth that is. Whisper words of wisdom, let it be. When we make assumptions, act prematurely, and believe we know the answers before the answers come, we are forgetting about and cutting off the energy of possibility, creative possibility. And I believe that the energy of possibility lives in liminal spaces and time. The energy lives there. And we need to give it time and space to engage and unfold around us, and sometimes in us. Now, the last thing I would offer is another mantra. I have many. Ask me during the circle, I follow Miss Piggy's mantra. Ask me about Miss Piggy's mantra later. Anyway, the last one I'll share now is do the next right thing. Do the next right thing. And by that I mean the next right thing for me, for you. And in this phrase, the word next is critical. Next invites you into the moment. Do the next right thing. You're encouraged to take care of yourself in this moment, and I like to add this caveat, and take care of yourself so that you might be in a place of calm and stability, not just for yourself, but for others, your family, your community, your faith family. Taking care of yourself affects the health of the community. Do the next right thing can mean canceling plans because you do not feel like yourself. In my case, I feel too itchy and uncomfortable in my own body, and I need time to find my center. Or sometimes I need time to do nothing. Absolutely nothing. To live with no expectations so that I can rest physically, emotionally, and spiritually. I was once advised by a dear friend that a dead pastor is not an effective pastor. I believe I was encouraged to take some time off. But there's truth in that phrase. Whatever you are, a dead you is not very effective. So step back. Sometimes you gotta step back. You are not required to do everything all at once. What? Nope. You're not required to be everywhere all at once. Nope. You're not. You don't. Give yourself permission to live in the moment and do the next right thing for you, so that you can be the best you when you engage with others. We're all living in this liminal time together. We owe it to each other to present our best selves as much as we can. Too often, my friends, we forget that there are gifts in the in-between time, in those not yet spaces. There are gifts, but we have to calm down and open ourselves up to them. We're given the opportunity to learn humility. We can continue to develop emotional and spiritual maturity. We can let ourselves get softer and kinder. Here's a good one. We can better understand what it means to feel vulnerable. We can examine and let go of what we thought to be truth for all times, making way for what might be new, might be good. We may learn better how to sit with hard feelings and also discern when and where our action is needed and necessary. So you're welcome to have them. My mantras: stop, let it be, do the next right thing. Those are good words to live by, at least for me. The way forward does feel confusing and concerning, but for me to be the best me I can be, I must find and maintain my center, and I'm recommending this path, this way to you. As I said earlier, I'm excited to hear about the ways that you find your center, the kinds of rituals or things that you do to get yourself back to you, especially in these times of in-between and unknown. I'd like to close this morning with a poem written by a young UU pastor. Her name is Reverend Gretchen Haley. Before I preach here, I often go on the UUA website and I just nose around, I look around, like the chalice lighting, you know, there's a lot of really good stuff there. And I found this poem. It was offered as opening words for worship, but today it just feels like the right thing to close this talk. It's called Forged in Fire by Forged in Fire, The Fire of Our Coming Together by Reverend Gretchen Haley. What's going on? Will everything be okay? What can I do? In these days, we find ourselves too often stuck with these questions on repeat. What's going to happen? Will everything be okay? What can I do? We grasp at signs and markers, articles of news and analysis, Facebook memes, and forwarded emails as if the new zodiac is capable of forecasting all that life may be, as if we could prepare, as if life had ever made any promises of making sense or turning out the way we thought, as if we are not also actors in this still unfolding story. For this hour we gather to surrender to the mystery, to release ourselves from needing to know, the yearning to have it all figured out, and also the burden of believing we either have all the control or none at all. Here is our song and our silence, our stories and our sharing. We make space for a new breath, a new healing, a new possibility to take root. That is courage forged in the fire of our coming together and felt in the spirit that comes alive in this act of faith, that we still believe a new world is possible and that we are creating it already, here and now. Friends, may it be so for you and for me. Amen.
Okay. Oh my goodness, what a joy those children were. If you could join me now in reading the words, it's in your bulletin, that we use to receive these gifts. We give these gifts freely, we receive these gifts gratefully. We dedicate these gifts to the work of our congregation, serving human wholeness, caring for our planet, upholding religious freedom, welcoming the stranger, loving one another. Okay, I am looking at the clock and I am going to take the prerogative of the pulpit and extinguish the chalice at this time and invite you to come back and join us in our circle discussion. 25 after. We have some music to follow this extinguishing of the chalice, so hang on a second. The chalice is extinguished, but the light goes with us out into the world. Special music. Treats and coffee. Feel free to bring your coffee upstairs, but give me a few minutes to get it.